Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world with me, Deepika, coming up in the next half an hour. U.S. continues to threaten Iran with toughest sanctions in the history, while Tehran calls it an economic terrorism that threatens the global economy. Political drama in Pakistan continues as former Prime Minister Imran Khan sent back to prison after medical examination in Islamabad hospital. Panama Canal Authority reverses an earlier pledge, caps daily transits as prolonged El Niño threatens water levels. And in Hockey World Cup, Indian women hold England to a 0-0 draw to qualify for the next round. Good afternoon to all the viewers joining us at this afternoon broadcast. Let's begin with the latest. The United States on Thursday warned allies and China to join President Donald Trump's new campaign to isolate the Iranian economy, vowing that Washington would collapse this regime in Tehran. U.S. Treasury Chief Scott Bessent said the United States will impose the toughest sanctions in the history on Iran. Bessent said he would share more details on the latest package at a press conference on Monday. When asked if the United States could target China for doing business with Iran, Bessent said many conversations were best to have in private. His comments on Thursday followed President Donald Trump's threat a day earlier of economic warfare and warning of economic consequences against any country that provided any type of lifeline to Iran. Before Bessent spoke, Iran's foreign ministry said it condemned U.S. economic and trade sanctions, calling them economic terrorism. Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi called Trump's comments an attempt to divert American public opinion from domestic financial problems, including record debt and rising interest rates. Meanwhile, China's embassy in Washington said sanctions and pressure do not help resolve the problem. According to an embassy spokesperson, China calls on the relevant parties to take responsible actions and resolve the issue through political and diplomatic means. Israel's plan to open up tenders for the construction of some 1,200 settlement homes in the occupied West Bank have sparked fresh condemnation by major Western powers. The leaders of 7 countries, including 4 EU member states, condemned the major settlement project in the West Bank. The countries called on Israel to end expansion in the occupied Palestinian territory after authorities opened bidding for more than 1,200 homes in the area. In a joint statement, UK, France, Germany, Italy and Canada called the decision unacceptable and urged Israel to retract the plans immediately. In a separate statement, UN Secretary General also said the E1 plan posed an existential threat to a contagious Palestinian state, and so did Belgium's foreign minister. The Trump administration on Thursday imposed new sanctions on Hezbollah and redesignated the group as an Iranian proxy. The U.S. Treasury Department announced sanctions on 10 individuals alleged to be a part of a network responsible for transferring cash to Hezbollah. According to the Treasury Department, the network used couriers traveling on commercial airline flights between Lebanon, Turkey and the UAE and Iran to move large amounts of money across jurisdictions. The redesignation is aimed at highlighting that Hezbollah operates on behalf of Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guards Corps and is not a standalone operation. The integration of the Kurdish administration within Syria's state institutions is now complete, marking the end of the Kurds' long-held dream of autonomy. Syrian-Kurdish leader Mazloum Abdi said on Thursday that the phase of integrating military, security and administrative institutions into national state institutions is complete and finished. The announcement follows months of negotiations between the two sides after a January agreement that called for the full integration of Kurdish civil and military institutions into the state. The January agreement, signed by Abdi and Syrian President Ahmad al-Shara, followed clashes between Syrian Kurdish fighters and the new authorities' forces. Egypt and Qatar signed 4 agreements and memoranda of understanding on Thursday during a visit by Qatari Prime Minister to Egypt. Egypt and Qatar signed 4 agreements in the areas of customs cooperation and regulatory work, in addition to development and healthy cooperation. Egypt and Qatar have urged the United States and Iran to return to the negotiating framework agreed in the month of June. The Egyptian Foreign Minister Badr Abdelatif and his Qatari counterpart Sheikh Mohammed bin Abdul Rahman Al Thani stressed the need to resume negotiations, build on the framework agreement and prioritize a diplomatic solution to the conflict. Now, 2 national staff members working for the UN political mission in Afghanistan were released after being detained by the country's de facto authorities for more than a week. UN spokesperson Steve Fein said the staff appeared to be in good health and the charges against them had been dropped. The Guterres said 73 UN colleagues remain detained in Yemen by the Houthis and the organization was seeking their release. The UN's most powerful body, the Security Council, met on Friday to hold another straw poll to gauge the popularity of a growing field of contenders to lead the embattled organization. Costa Rica's Rebecca was the frontrunner after last month's first informal vote, in which the Council's 15 members, including the 5 with veto power, passed the judgment in secret on the candidates. Argentina's Rafael Grossi, the current head of the UN nuclear watchdog, is also a candidate along with Chile's Michelle Bachelet, Ecuador's Maria Fernanda Espinosa, Guyana's Caroline Rodriguez Burkitt, Uganda's Olera Otuno and Senegal's Macky Sall. After the first round concluded, Ecuador's Yvonne Abaki threw her hat into the race to succeed Antonio Guterres, who will complete his second 5-year term on the 31st of December this year. Moving on to the Russia-Ukraine conflict. Russian Deputy Foreign Minister stated that Moscow is open to listening to new proposals on how to reach a settlement on the Ukraine conflict. In an interview on Friday, Sergei Ryabkov said that any proposals should reflect the realities on the ground. He said that U.S. demonstrated a readiness for constructive dialogue and an understanding of Russia's position. Ryabkov also said that at this stage, it is more important to on what extent Washington is able to influence the decisions of the Kyiv regime and its European sponsors, who still dream of a strategic defeat of Russia. Now, Australian police charged a man with foreign interference for allegedly seeking to pass intelligence about Ukrainian military activities to Russia. The 27-year-old Russian-Australian citizen underwent military-style training in Russia and later joined the Ukrainian armed forces. Police said there was no indication he had received military training in Australia. The man has not been identified and was unemployed. It marks the 8th charging of an individual with crimes related to spying and foreign interference in Australia. A number of search warrants have been executed and it is a possibility that there could be further arrests related to the case. The investigation was conducted by federal police and the Australian Security Intelligence Organisation's spy agency. Australian Federal Police Commissioner Chrissy Barrett said they have zero tolerance against foreign interference.
In Australia, it is alleged the man maintained contact with individuals he believed were connected to Russian intelligence services. Investigators will allege the man then travelled to Ukraine in May 2025, where he joined the Ukrainian armed forces, gaining access to information relating to military personnel, units and locations.
U.S. authorities have charged a 35-year-old New York woman with attempting to provide material support to the Islamic State after she allegedly plotted a bomb attack on the New York State Capitol and the killing of the lawmakers. Court filings allege that Jessica Bowie had become an online supporter of Islamic State, conducted surveillance of the Capitol and sought guidance on making explosives. Authorities say she discussed disguising herself as a food delivery driver to enter the building before fleeing to Syria and potentially targeting other sites, including Times Square. Bowie was arrested on the 19th of August after allegedly obtaining materials she believed could be used in the attack. Hundreds of migrants, mainly from Central America and Cuba, departed in a caravan from the southern Mexican city on Thursday, seeking to reach central and northern Mexico after months of waiting in migration and asylum processes. The group, known as Dreams Without Borders, includes migrants deported under U.S. President Donald Trump's administration, as well as others who say they have been stranded in southern Mexico due to delays in immigration procedures. Migrants said they hope to continue their applications with Mexico's refugee agency and find work elsewhere in the country. Local organizations estimate more than 60,000 migrants are currently stranded in the region. The United States and Canada are very close to a final trade deal, a top Canadian official said on Thursday after negotiators of both the countries held a meeting. Canada's Dominic LeBlanc met with U.S. Trade Representative Jamieson Greer on Thursday to finalize an agreement that could reduce months of tariffs and avert new duties. LeBlanc, who is responsible for trade with the United States, said that more work remains to be done. The meeting comes days after the Trump administration paused new tariffs on Ottawa. The U.S. and Canada have been seeking to reset their ties that turned sour after the Trump administration imposed punishing levies on Ottawa. According to Reuters sources, the proposed deal is expected to reduce tariff on Canadian-built vehicles to 15% from 25% and half tariffs on Canadian steel and aluminium to 25%. On Wednesday, a new U.S. tariffs of 50% was set to take effect on Canadian imports, but President Donald Trump delayed the enactment for 72 hours. The Panama Canal is set to reduce the number of ships allowed through each day as severe drought, intensified by El Niño, leaves water levels under pressure. The move could disrupt a major global trade route and raise concerns over shipping costs and delays. The Panama Canal Authority said daily vessel capacity will fall from 36 to 34 ships starting the 3rd of September and then to 32 from the 15th of September. The canal handles around 5% of global maritime trade and about 40% of U.S. container traffic, making water shortages a major concern for global supply chains. Now, India and Japan take their defense partnership to the next level, sending a clear, firm signal across the Indo-Pacific. From bilateral ministerial talks to leaders summit, New Delhi and Tokyo reinforce their joint roadmap for regional security. Here's more.
Two major democracies, one shared maritime vision. As strategic competition intensifies across the Indo-Pacific, India and Japan are tightening their partnership to keep the region free, open and secure. That shared resolve was on display on Thursday as Defence Minister Rajnath Singh met his Japanese counterpart in New Delhi. With regional assertiveness on the rise, both sides reaffirmed a clear message. The Indo-Pacific must remain free, open and governed by international rules. At the core of the Indo-Japan Indo-Pacific strategy lies a shared blueprint, safeguarding international sea line of communication, setting up of joint maritime exercises like Malabar, and deepening defense technology transfers. Both democracies also align closely through the Quad and regional connectivity projects, presenting a united front for an open, secure and resilient maritime order. India's initiative to deepen its strategic cooperation in Indo-Pacific goes way back. In 2014, Prime Minister Narendra Modi launched the Forum for Indo-Pacific Islands Cooperation to expand India's diplomatic, economic, and strategic engagement with 14 Pacific Island countries. In December 2015, India released its first joint statement on the Indo-Pacific with Japan, entitled India and Japan Vision 2025. The 2015 Saga Doctrine established India's baseline framework for cooperation in maritime security in the Indian Ocean region. In 2019, India launched Indo-Pacific Oceans Initiative to create a safe, secure, and sustainable maritime domain through practical regional cooperation. The launch of Mahasagar Doctrine in March 2025 expands India's focus beyond its immediate neighborhood to a more comprehensive global maritime approach. At regional meetings such as the ASEAN Regional Forum, India has prioritized secure maritime transit. The same vision remained a high point when Japanese Prime Minister Sanae Takaichi was in Delhi for the annual summit with Prime Minister Narendra Modi, where both sides agreed to deepen security cooperation in Indo-Pacific. As both nations set up strategic cooperation, New Delhi and Tokyo stand as an indispensable anchor for stability across the Indo-Pacific. Tripti Tripaঠি's report for DD India.
We're heading for a short break. We'll be right back. Welcome back after that short break. You're watching DD India Live. Former Pakistan Prime Minister Imran Khan was taken back to prison hours after he was shifted to a hospital in Islamabad on Friday for medical examination. Imran Khan, who was lodged in Adiala jail, was shifted to Shifa International Hospital in Islamabad on Friday. He spent a few hours overnight at the hospital before being moved back to the prison. The former Pakistan Prime Minister supporters had been demanding his medical treatment, claiming that his health has deteriorated during more than 3 years in the prison. According to his lawyer, the 73-year-old lost significant vision in his right eye. Well, Imran Khan has been in jail since August 2023 in connection with several cases against him. The move comes days after Pakistan's Supreme Court ordered the authorities to shift Khan to the Islamabad hospital and allow him the access to a medical panel that includes his personal physician. Now, Imran Khan's party, Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf or PTI, hailed the ruling as a new ray of hope, but said that they would hold a nationwide protest on September the 27th. They will, demanding the access to him and also his speedy hearing in the cases related to his release. Now, Bangladesh lawmakers have elected ruling Bangladesh Nationalist Party veteran Mirza Fakhrul Islam Alamgir as the country's new president. The 78-year-old PNP Secretary General won the parliamentary vote to become Bangladesh's 23rd president, succeeding Mohammad Shahabuddin, who resigned last month. Alamgir secured 255 votes against 88 for the opposition-backed candidate Oli Ahmed in the first contested presidential election in Bangladesh in 35 years. His election comes after PNP's landslide victory in February, following the 2024 uprising that ousted Sheikh Hasina's government. The 12th BRICS Communication Ministers meeting is underway in Pune. Union Minister for Communications Jyotiraditya Scindia, along with Minister of State for Communications Dr. Pemasani Chandrasekhar, attended the event. Communications ministers and senior representatives from BRICS member countries are also a part of this event. Addressing the meeting, Jyotiraditya Scindia said India's BRICS chairship is focusing on 4 key priorities to strengthen digital cooperation among the member countries. He stressed the need to build resilient, secure and sustainable digital infrastructure to ensure affordable and meaningful connectivity for all. The minister highlighted the importance of strengthening trust in the digital ecosystem through greater cooperation in cybersecurity, trusted technologies, resilient communication networks and responsible innovation. The BRICS Tourism Ministers meeting is also underway in Jaipur under India's BRICS presidency, with tourism ministers and senior officials from member countries in attendance. The meeting is focusing on strengthening tourism cooperation, improving connectivity and facilitating travel, with the discussions also covering sustainable tourism, artificial intelligence, skilling and capacity building, tourism exchange and seamless travel facilitation. Now, the 15th edition of India-Thailand Joint Military Exercise May 315 is underway in Thailand, bringing together soldiers from both the armies for 2 weeks of joint training. The exercise is focused on strengthening interoperability and sharing operational experience in counter-insurgency and counter-terrorism operations. The exercise features 85 personnel each from the Indian Army and Royal Thai Army, with training covering jungle survival, casualty evacuation, trench clearing drills and the use of unmanned aerial vehicles. Indian troops have also taken part in Muay Thai training, combining combat skills and cultural exchange. And now let's get you weather updates from across the globe. Well, severe weather hit northern Italy's Isola di Fontro on Thursday as a swollen stream overflowed, prompting emergency teams to deploy heavy machinery in the area. Firefighters evacuated around 250 people from a nearby campsite as a precaution amid the risk of a landslide and rising water. An orange alert for flooding has been issued in Lombardy for Friday. Persistent heavy rain has triggered severe flash floods and river overflows in Thailand's northern Nan province, forcing residents to evacuate. As floodwaters recede, residents are returning home to assess the damage and begin recovery. The death toll from devastating floods in southern China last month jumped to 259 on Friday, with 10 people still missing. Typhoon Mesak wreaked havoc across parts of southern China in July, bringing torrential rain and severe flooding to Guangxi. Currently, both the areas have fully entered the post-disaster recovery and reconstruction phase. Hurricane Lala continued to churn over the central Pacific on Thursday, while a newly formed tropical depression moved towards the Hawaiian Islands. Tropical Depression 2C, meanwhile, is forecast to strengthen gradually, bringing the risk of heavy rain and strong winds to the islands. And now let's get you updates from the world of sports, to begin with hockey first. India held England to a 0-0 draw in their final Pool D game at FIH Women's Hockey World Cup, securing second place in the group and a spot in the second round. India held England to a draw as goalkeeper Bichu Devi made a crucial late save. After an attacking start, India came under pressure as England dominated possession and won several penalty corners, but India's defence stood firm. England pulled their goalkeeper late, but Bichu's save secured India's progression. India will next face the Netherlands in the second pool phase. And that's all for this edition of DD India Live, but do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from the country and the world on the DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code on the screen to download it right now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I am Deepika, and from all of us here in New Delhi, thank you so much for watching DD India Live. Namaskar.